Hi everyone, I'm Vaidehi
And I'm Riddhi.
and welcome to the second episode of TedCast.
TedCast. So today we've been watching about three videos by Sir Ken Robinson, and he's in education, so he's an advisor, he's an author, and he's a speaker, and he talks about the current education system in many schools, and he just gives his opinion on what he thinks about the education systems.
Yeah, he has like a lot of like different ideas on what education should be like, and we found his ideas very interesting and different, and I think he was the one who like revolutionized this entire like of how education should be. He brought in new paradigms to the entire like system, and and just a little bit of background. We are college students, and we just finished our first year of college. So we've been in this system, the whole education system, for around like 17 years or so. So we will be talking about our experiences and what we thought of the talk, and just discuss his ideas. um, our entire talk would be based on three of his TED talks, and the links for the TED talks would be given below in the description. And yeah, so let's start.
So, Beth, what was your education in school like? So, what was your experience? Did you like it? Did you see a change in any way?
So for me, like I went to a different school when I was young. I changed schools, and but I don't. That doesn't matter. Like I've just seen that in general. Like when I was a kid, I enjoyed like studying much more than when I was a high schooler, and as like my school experience as a high schooler has been very like it's full of like intense like studying and like just taking in a lot of content and like lots of theory, while when I was a kid it was so much more fun, I guess. And like it just I felt connected to what I was studying, and then when I grew older it was just all about like knowing the theory, knowing so much
Yeah.
information. Yeah. What was yours like? Did you see a difference? What was your school experience like?
Yeah, for me as well. So, for the first 16 years, I was in one system of education, and that was, as you said, was a lot of theory, and they just kind of forced you to, memorize everything and then replicate it exactly as it is in a test. And I didn't feel like I was being challenged or learning anything new. So, I guess for me, uh, after those first 16 years, when I moved to a different school, so it was a different system of education, that kind of, I don't know, even though it wasn't like the perfect system, it was way better than my first system. I
Mm-hmm.
was challenged more. It was more application based, and I didn't find myself just um, blindly memorizing everything and then replicating it in a test. I could apply what I learned more to my test.
Yeah,
So
and I think that's more useful, right? Like that makes you
yeah,
to really think, and that it makes you feel like you're actually studying. You're actually learning something, and sorry, not just
yeah,
studying. You're learning something. It's just not
yeah,
like academics, and it's just more
yeah,
like because you feel like you're like actually using your brain and just not like learning stuff and just vomiting out in like on
yeah.
the in
Like
like
I
exam
think,
papers.
yeah, and you feel more engaged with the subject as well. You just feel more connected to it.
Yeah.
You feel more motivated to study. Like, have you ever felt like there's ever been a change in the way you've studied, maybe before and now? Do you think there's been a change in the way you've just approached learning?
Yeah, like I feel like over time what happened was it became, because it became like there's just so much more than it's before. And then as kids, like you just don't like study all the time. Like as kids you have like
Yeah.
playtime, or like you have like lots of group projects, and you have
Yeah.
lots of I don't know, you have like you also have like arts are given much more importance when you are kids than like when you're in high school. High school's mainly all about academics, and mainly
Yeah.
all about like the content, like the subjects.
Yeah.
Like it's so restrictive. I felt it was very restrictive, and it
Yeah.
didn't allow me to be creative. It didn't allow me to do things that I liked. And I realized, like, when I connected to what Sir Ken Robinson said in his talks.
Yeah.
Like, this one part where he said that the current public education system, it really like marginalizes like a lot of like things that kids like. And like
Yeah.
it focuses on like some primary subjects like math and
Yes.
science. And but it marginalizes a lot of different other fields and
Yeah.
other subjects that kids personally connect to, and kids that just defines them.
Yeah.
And when
Yeah.
that's, yeah, and when that's marginalized, they feel so like
Yeah.
they don't feel like they belong, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely a hierarchy of subjects, as you were saying. So the subjects which everyone thinks are the most important, like the maths or the sciences, they'll definitely get a higher ranking
yeah,
than say, the arts. And yeah, that definitely makes a lot of kids who are really interested in a different kind of subject, just makes them feel like they're not good enough or they're not smart enough as compared to what they should, compared to the other kids, because
yeah.
according to the schools and societies, that's not what they should be doing. They should just be following this like hierarchy which has been built. So I guess you could say, like, would you say that schools do kill creativity in a way?
Yeah, like I feel like how you said, there's this hierarchy, right? And like
Yeah.
Sir Ken Robinson in his talks, like remember he
Yeah.
said that it's all because of like industrialization and
Yeah.
the whole public school system. Like schools mainly started like in the time of the Industrial Revolution, and so
Yeah.
that's why like it's basically like the school systems today still follow the same pattern. And
Yeah.
that's why they're so like during Industrial Revolution, it was, you had to make money, and you had like, it was all about like producing things. And that's why
Yeah.
like subjects like math and science and like things to do, like everything revolved around like the mind. And so the
Yeah.
current education system also only revolves around the mind. But then that's the thing, there's so many other skills that different like people have, which are not even which are not included like in today's school system. And so like it, and like to be creative, it's, you need like a lot of other skills, and you need like other your other, all your senses need to be engaged for you to be creative. Like only your
Yeah.
mind, like you can't only be creative if like it's just you're just like absorbing like so much info, just like content,
Yeah.
right? And that's the thing, like I feel like for me, like over time, like as like it only became content based, I feel like I lost my creativity. Like over time I felt that, like as a kid, because I did a lot of other, we were made to do like group projects and like model making, and like we had Lego classes, and we had like art classes, like we had so many other different subjects, and they were all given equal importance because we're kids, right? So,
Yeah.
and that at that time I really felt like, I felt like I was being creative. I felt like I could produce original ideas. But like after
Yeah.
a point when like only like some subjects were given importance, and only like the content was given importance, I felt like it was all really passive. I wasn't actively using my brain, I wasn't actively creating something, or like using, I didn't have like original ideas. And so I felt like over time schooling did like make me less creative. And
Yeah, and I
yeah,
think also when you think about schooling, you also kind of have to think about even just society also. So when a child is growing up, just if, I think we can also relate to it in our Indian society. When the child is growing up, you just kind of get told so many different things. You just, as you grow up, you get told that, oh, stray away from these things, follow
Yeah.
this path, and you'll
Yeah.
be guaranteed success. Go to school, get good grades. That will
Hmm.
get you into good college, and then study well in those 4 years of college, and then you'll be guaranteed a job. We're just kind of been always told these things, and that also affects like our thinking and our behavior.
Yeah.
So on a personal level, also a lot of kids tend to just force themselves to stick to like a very narrow like tunnel vision, and they're very scared to like experiment or just break away from this linear thinking.
Yes.
So they just think that if they do everything by the books or everything as it should be done, they go to school, they get good grades, they just focus on their academics, then they think that that will make them succeed because that's what they've seen in their parents and the generations before that. They've seen like this model has been successful, so they're just now I think just out of fear they're just
Yeah.
scared to try a new thing and break away.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, like even like really like you like I remember when we were in school, like you really
Yeah.
wanted to like you really like drama, and you really wanted to
Yeah.
like pursue drama as like theater as a career. So
Yeah.
what, like if you want to talk about like how like the schooling and how like social factors prevented you from doing so, like
Yeah, I remember when I was in school, I was like really into theater, and I used to like dream of becoming like this famous actress, and just like I had a lot of these dreams. But then yeah, it is true, like a lot of it was from external factors telling me that like it's not a viable career. You're not gonna be able to succeed. It's going to be very hard, and a lot of it came from within me itself. Like I can't just blame it on people outside of me. It was a lot of my own like thinking, which was influenced from all these external factors. It was just me telling myself repeatedly, can I actually make a career out of this? Like, shouldn't I be sticking to these normal careers, where you're guaranteed success, or at least I thought I was guaranteed success. Um, like there'd be so many risks. I was just scared there'd be so many risks of going to like an alternate career path. It's not what everyone before me has done. It's not like a tried and tested path. Very few succeed.
right.
And so it was just a lot of me just telling myself and like just kind of being scared to like stray away or do something new because very few people have done it. And
Right.
it's just it's not it's not like the stereotypical path we've grown up to see, and it's not what a lot of people do.
Exactly. So yet you know how like that really like how Sir Ken Robinson said in his videos that
Yeah.
when so see what's happening, like all of us are scared, all of us
Yeah.
are following this linear model in which all of us are just like, okay, we'll go to school, then we'll go to college, we'll pursue the sciences and like all
Yeah.
these like tried and tested
Yeah.
fields, and then we'll get a degree, and then we'll like work
Yeah.
in that, like, and then we'll earn money and everything will be good. But then what happens is, following because everyone's following this linear model, what happens
Yeah.
is it's just you're producing robots, you're producing people with the same, like everyone's just conforming to this one thing, and you're just producing like just everyone's so alike, like there's no
Yeah.
variation. And as Sir Ken Robinson said in his videos, the world is changing. We don't know what's going to happen like 5 years from now, or like even 6 months from now. We don't know. Like the world's
Yeah.
changing so much, and the like in all fields, like environmentally it's changing so much, economically it's changing so much. So we need people who have different ideas, different ways of thinking. But that's the problem with our current school system. It's manufacturing, literally, because it's, as he said, because it's based on the entire, because it started out in the industrial revolution, it's based on those principles, and so it's basically manufacturing students who think in the same way, who act in the same way, and there is no diversity. And because and the world needs all different kinds of thinkers, different kinds of skills, and that's what we need right now. We need the school system to produce that, and not just lookalikes, not everyone like who think and think alike. So yeah, and
so if you think like back to our parents' time, you could realize that when they follow this like model of thinking, go to school, go to college, get a degree, then once they had that degree, they were always just guaranteed a job.
Yeah.
But would you say that you think a degree now will guarantee you that job or guarantee you success in today's world?
Exactly. Like I don't think like I'm going to college, but then my degree, I still know like my degree is just going to give me like it's just like a formality. I don't know, like you need a
Yeah.
degree to get a job. So like, but
Yeah.
once you get their first job, like your degree really doesn't stand for anything, like
Yeah.
sort of, because there are like there's so many other skills that you learn when you work, or that you've
Yeah.
already need to build while you're in school and in college, that are so much
Yeah.
more useful than the content. Because right now we live in a world where, like, if we content wise, information wise, if we don't know something, we can like Google it, right?
Yeah.
Like if I don't remember something that I studied in class 12,
Yeah.
I don't need to remember, right? Like I can
Yeah.
always just Google it. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like my degree, when I learned something in college, my degree basically shows that like this is the content that I learned. But exactly, like that's the
Yeah.
thing, like it's not like guaranteed, like that content's not really going to help me a lot,
Yeah.
and because everyone has access to that content
Yeah.
now because of the internet. So you need a lot of other skills, because um and that won't, like, our school system and our college system, our education system doesn't teach us those skills. So our degree to me, the degree won't feel as useful as, like, my parents, like as useful as it was for my parents. Like, what do you
Yeah.
feel like?
Yeah, I agree. I agree
Yeah.
completely. I remember growing up, my parents always, and still do, they still tell me, like, your college degree is only going to get you so far. Like, as you said, it's just going to get you till your first job. And then after that, it's like your own skills. It's what you learn. It's how you make the most of what you have that's going to bring you,
Yeah.
like, actual success.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, as you were saying, like, the world, it is changing so much.
Yeah.
So we really need, like, different skills, different mindsets, and not just the same standard skills that this like linear model of thinking has been producing, just
Yeah.
generating the same kind of thinking.
And
Um,
yeah, and the problem with this system is that what happens is, as Sir Ken Robinson said, because
yeah,
what this system is doing is dividing students or kids into like two sections: people who are academic and people who are
yeah,
non-academic. So people who are smart and people who are
yeah,
not smart. And that's what's happened. And because this system is so, like, it's all about the mind, right? It doesn't give,
yeah,
that doesn't like give value to other skills, other senses, other, like, just like some certain skills of how well you can, like, learn things and how well you can
yeah,
reproduce it on paper, basically, right?
yeah,
So what happens is, for most people this system doesn't work, and they are considered not smart, they don't get good grades,
yeah,
and they're considered, and their entire lives they feel dumb. Then that
yeah,
discourages them. They don't feel confident enough, and they and that's the reason they just they don't work to their potential. They're not, like, just imagine, if you have like an education system, like, honestly, these people have the people who are not academically smart in so many other fields, like in so many other, like, let's say in art or dance or stuff, they're brilliant, they're so
yeah,
smart. And that's the thing, the education system is just shunning all those skills, and that's why
yeah,
these people are not able to reach their potential. Like, how,
yeah,
remember in his talk he gave the example of this friend of his who is
yeah,
a dancer now, and who's a multimillionaire, and like she's really famous, and she has this whole dance school, and, like, I don't know, like a company and
yeah,
all, like a dance
yeah,
company. And when she started out, she was a kid who couldn't concentrate in class, who couldn't sit still, who wasn't doing well, and like her teacher called her mom, and like, she was like, your kid's not studying well, she's not doing well. And she was
yeah,
taken to a doctor, and the doctor basically, what she did was, what he I think it was a he yeah, what he did was, he left, he told like the mom, oh, let's just step out of the room for a while. and from outside he observed the girl, like that lady when she was a girl, and as soon as they stepped out, in a matter of like minutes, the girl started moving her feet, and she got up and started dancing. And then that's the
Yeah.
thing, what the doctor said was, the girl, your daughter isn't sick, she's a dancer. So she was in
Yeah.
like the entire wrong education system. If she And
Yeah.
then her mom put her to dance school, and she's so famous, she's so good right now, and she's providing
Yeah.
entertainment and pleasure to millions today.
Yeah.
So if all of us could, if all people like around us, if everyone could get a chance to work on things that were their strengths and things that they really liked and really like connected to, and like that they were good at, then the
Yeah.
world will have so many more like, there's so many more um, like just so many more people who are working at to their potential. Like most people today are
Yeah.
underemployed, they're just
Yeah.
not, because they were forced to be in a school system in which their skill or their liking, a skill of their liking um, wasn't
Yeah.
given importance, or wasn't told it was valuable. Yeah.
Yeah, and also, so yeah, going off of this, so in the talks, Sir Ken Robinson, he actually proposed his solution to this problem, right? So he like proposed this agricultural model,
Yeah.
and in that model, he talked about how the schools and the parents in the society, they have to, instead of generating like this ideal output that they want for their children, they should just allow their children to flow naturally
Yeah.
and just choose what they want and just provide them the inputs that they
Hmm.
need to make whatever outcome they want. Much as such like the example, the mother of the dancer,
Yeah.
she provided the input of sending her daughter to a dance school, and that really helped her flourish into the successful person that she is today.
Hmm.
So he just proposed this model of where all the external factors of parents, the schools, the society, they should just act as inputs to
Hmm.
help a child flourish, you know?
Right. And then let the child choose and do whatever
Yeah,
is his calling, or his or her calling, like do what
yeah,
really like they want to do, and that's how
yeah,
he says they'll flourish. But
yeah.
I don't know. Riddhi, do you feel this solution of his is viable? Do you feel like it's realistic?
I think there are a few problems with
Yeah.
his solution. Firstly, the way he described it in his videos was just, it was too simple, it was too
Yeah.
general. He just made it sound a lot more simple to implement than it actually is,
Hmm.
because we spend a lot of time discussing
Yeah.
this, and we just realized that it's not that simple. Because, see, if you implement it, there is a very high chance of a child just straying too much, just
Yeah. Like
because when there's too much choice, the child also gets confused. The child can keep just like switching from one thing to another and never have, because you
a
always need that
focus.
the little bit
Yeah.
of discipline, of
Yeah.
focus to, just actually be super successful. You
Right.
can't have no discipline at all and expect the child to flourish completely.
Yeah, like that, like if like the parents just like, if the parents don't like interfere, and like the
Yeah,
parents keep giving like the child support and input, and like, okay, like today he likes this, like today he likes dance, and then tomorrow he'll, like as soon as it becomes a little hard, a little like challenging, like
yeah,
you won't, like a lot of times if you're a kid, if it's really hard
yeah,
and challenging, it's easy, you'll just leave it and try your luck at
yeah,
music, and then try your luck at
yeah.
something else, and then
Something
you'll
else.
keep doing that, and then eventually you'll have like kids who are just confused, they're not,
Yeah,
yeah, they're not focused, they're not good at anything at the end of the day. Like I'm like
yeah,
I'm in a liberal arts college, so I kind of like feel that confusion a lot of times because of the choice I'm given.
yeah,
I chose a liberal arts school because it gives me like, I wanted to explore, and it gives me a chance to
yeah,
explore so many different subjects and so many different courses
yeah,
that I've never done before, or yeah. And then that has, so I keep like trying new things, but then
yeah,
because there's so much choice, there's just so much confusion in my head. But then like
yeah,
sometimes I feel like if I really chose one thing and really went after it, I'd be so much more focused, and I'll just like follow that, and like you know,
Yeah.
make like, so like that's the thing. So his his agricultural model is too simple in the sense that it you can't, a kid is a kid at the end of the day. Like you can't just like keep um like you need some sort of discipline. You need like to be like, okay,
Yeah.
like just stick to this, because yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah, but then that's the thing, like you, if you're doing that, then again you're not allowing the kid to like flourish, like just like
Yeah.
to completely like explore. But then there's limited time, so it's confusing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we were talking about how like our solution would be just to try and find like a
hmm,
balance between the two models.
yeah,
So have them both run simultaneously. So give your kid choices. Because choices
yeah,
are good. That's how they explore. That's how they're
yeah,
learning. But then also have that kind of linearity and focus, so they're not straying just blindly from one
yeah,
thing to another. So
yeah.
just like have a good balance between the two. That would make a better model than either just totally linear or just totally agricultural. If we can find a way to do both of them simultaneously, then that would be more effective.
Yeah, and I personally feel that in order to do that, like I feel like I am like, even though like I have a lot of choice, I still
Yeah,
feel a lot like focused, because what as it now, like I don't think my parents need to be disciplined and like need to impose things on me, because when I
yeah,
was a kid, like my parents taught me how to be an independent, my school also, my parents and my school,
yeah,
like they taught me how to be an independent thinker, how to like make my own decisions, how to like a lot of skills that today, like because I'm an independent thinker, even if I have a lot of choice, I'm not like, I won't like, okay, this is hard, and I won't like, I'll keep at it, I'll persevere. So like
yeah,
you just need to make the like as a parent and as like as a school, like in order for you to like be able to implement both simultaneously, you need to make
yeah,
sure the kid knows what's happening, you need to make sure the kid thinks for himself or herself, right?
yeah,
And then they'll be mature enough and responsible to like
yeah,
make their own decisions. So even if like, so they won't stray a lot and just be confused, they
yeah,
will like be responsible enough to know that they have to eventually like choose one thing and be disciplined and like persevere and like
yeah,
get that done. So yeah, I think that's the way out. Like they have to happen simultaneously, but eventually as a parent, not only you give them the inputs, but you also teach them, or as a school system you teach them how to be independent thinkers, so then they can make their own decisions.
yeah.
And yeah, that's what.
And
Yeah,
also, even like with independent thinking, also I think like problem solving skills that comes along with it.
yeah,
Just learning how to solve when there's a problem in front of you, learning how to solve it. That's also going to take a kid really far.
right,
Because you can study, you can get as many degrees as you want, you can go to the best colleges, but if there's a problem right in front of you and you don't have the skills or the maturity or the confidence to solve that problem, then your degrees, as we talked about, they're not going to take you that far. Because
right,
what you need is, you need to think, as you said, you need to think independently. You need to come up with solutions for your own problems. You need to be a quick problem solver. You need
yeah,
to be independent. You need to see something. You need to realize that, okay, this is the problem, and this is what I have, and this is how I'm going to use what I have to get over this problem and to continue on my
hmm.
path.
Yeah, like going off of that, so like last week I went back. So my old school was a little like different. Like when I was a kid, like the school I went to, it was I'm really lucky. It taught me like it was based on these like Edward de Bono's ideas of
Yeah,
like making kids like thinking laterally, and you know
yeah,
like basically my school really taught me how to be a problem solver, how to be an independent
yeah,
thinker, and I'm really glad. And I didn't really realize it as a kid, but now as I'm like growing up, and like I see people from different backgrounds, I've realized that my background has helped me a lot in my life and my academics, because if there's a problem, I don't get like flustered. I don't get overwhelmed. Like I know how to go about it, because
Yeah.
like in my school, so basically I went to meet my principal last week, and she gave me this anecdote, and I think that that's how school should work. So she gave me this anecdote wherein she told me how once she went to teach a math to a third
Yeah.
grade class, and before that, like a week before that, she taught them. She was teaching them fractions. So a week before them,
Yeah.
she introduced them to fractions and taught them how to do simple, like how to add, like how what fractions are and how to add simple fractions. And for
Yeah.
the second class, which was like a week later, she was going to teach them like basically addition of like stuff like half plus one halves, and like
Yeah.
simple fractions. So before she started, like that was her lesson plan. But before she
Yeah.
started, she needed to know if like the students remembered what she had taught them
Yeah.
like in the previous week. So she like quizzed them, and she was and so she and they remembered everything, because she
Yeah.
taught the concept not how we generally learn it, like like the LCM, the method.
Yeah.
She taught them like pictorially. So like it was in their heads, like they
Yeah.
remembered everything. And then when she quizzed them, she was like the kids were so she was done quizzing them, and they got everything. And then they were like, okay, so now like we have a question for you. So they questioned her. So they gave
Yeah.
her like they gave her a question, and the question was like really difficult, and they were just like learning to like add half plus one halves, and like they come up with a question like 1/16 plus 2/30 or something, which is like really
Yeah.
hard for like a kid, right?
Yeah.
Like yeah, at that
Yeah.
level. And she was like, how do I like I can she can do them she can do that question, but how do I do it so that they understand? And so
Yeah.
she was like you guys are asking me this question, do you know how to solve it? And they were like, yes. And they were super confident about it,
Yeah.
and they were like, we know how to do it. And she was really shocked. She's like, how do you know how to solve like such a difficult question? I think it was like 1 over
Yeah.
16 plus 29 over 30 or something, which is
Yeah.
like really hard. So for like a third grader. So
Yeah.
she was really shocked. She's like, how do you know how to solve it? And it was really cool. Like they were like, we know how to do it. And she's like, show me how you guys like can do it. And these like this group of like 3 4 kids, they went up to the board, and they literally like drew stuff pictorially. And like they were not taught this, but because they
Yeah.
had like a basics, like they knew how to like go
Yeah.
about fractions pictorially. They like manipulated it a little and drew pictures and cut them into pieces, and like they did some math, like they did some
Yeah.
like adjustment with like the picture, and they got the answer, and it was the right answer. And my like the teacher, like the principal, she was so amazed. And that this is
Yeah.
what she took, like she told me this is what she took from like that incident. Like, see, once you teach, like that's the thing, like our education system should teach like students how to go about like how to solve problems, and like explain them how to do it. Like LCM, like even now, like I wouldn't know like how that works. I just know you multiply by 2, and then you make the denominator same, and that's how you like add. But like I still don't know how that works. But when you
Yeah.
really see it and really understand how it works, like like the behind the scenes of LCM, like pictorially. So
Yeah.
once you do that, like they now like they can solve any question. Like you give them a
Yeah.
question of any like level of difficulty, and they'll know how to do it. And
Yeah.
that's what I got. Like, and I really like I was amazed, because that's how like if we so as parents and as teachers and as like education systems, if we like teach kids how to solve problems, then they'll have no problem at like when they grow up, because
Yeah.
then they'll just know the basics of how things work, and they're
Yeah.
just confident. They're super confident to like manipulate like the basics and use those techniques. So like if you teach them how to be think critically, how to diagnose problems, and like how to see it from
Yeah.
different perspectives, if you teach them these skills,
Yeah.
Like that's enough. Like you don't really need to teach a lot of content, because as I said, content's
Yeah.
out there on the internet. So if you,
Yeah.
what they need
Definitely.
is, they need to learn is how to think and how to take decisions, how to solve problems. And once that's there, they're good for
Yeah.
life. Like they can solve
Yeah.
anything. And I feel, yeah, that's what I found it really like interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I think giving just that good base and having those like skills and also knowing how to use whatever little you have to solve what's in front of you. Like those kids, they just had that one concept of drawing
Yeah.
of a pictorial representation to solve it, but they could use even that like very simple concept to solve the hardest of problems.
Yeah.
So and they'll always remember it because, as you said, they've learned like how it's done, why it's done, not just, okay, this is the formula,
Yeah.
memorize this, and then this is the question, and you need to use this exact formula and write on the test. Because I think, yeah, if you're told, why you need to use this, and how this is going to help you reach an answer, that's going to be more ingrained in your memory than
Yeah.
whether you just blindly just have told to memorize something and then
Yeah.
reproduce it on a test. So
Yeah.
yeah, I completely agree. The skills you need are these important problem solving skills, are these like thinking skills, and these are the things that will actually help you in the future. Because yeah, as you said, the content is out there. Content is just content. It's not gonna take you very far. But these like actual life skills are
Yeah.
what schools need to implement.
Yeah. And you know what? It's amazing how like creative kids are. And like when you
Yeah,
shove these formulas down their throat, when you like,
yeah,
just then their mind becomes so like limited to these formulae, limited to this
yeah,
content, and they know like it just kills creativity. Like how
yeah,
like in his video, Sir Ken Robinson talked about this one study in which they found like that. So like diversity in thinking. So that means like how like longitudinally you can think, like how laterally you can like come up with solution, like how in what different ways you can come up with like
yeah,
solutions to a problem, or like in like for like, so they give an example like diverse thinking is basically like how like, so let's say I give you a paper clip, so how many uses can you find for one paper clip? Now
mm,
over time, as we grow old and like uh, we we become less like our minds become less like our thinking becomes less diverse, and so we can like max we can find like 15 to 20 uses. But like
yeah,
geniuses and people and kindergarten students, they can come up with up to 200 uses for that. They can come up
yeah,
with like they can like they're so creative, because as
yeah,
kids they're not afraid to make mistakes, they're not afraid to think wildly. And as we
yeah,
grow old, because we have to conform, we live in fear, we are always told to follow these rules and follow these formulae and just do this, we become so scared, and we're just so scared to like imagine, to like come up
yeah,
with, to like our this entire system, this of linearity stigmatizes mistakes. But then, as Sir
yeah,
Ken Robinson said, mistakes are important to be creative. Like you need
yeah,
mistakes,
yeah,
like because like that shows you fearless. That shows you can
yeah,
like let your mind go wild and think of like so many solutions to a problem. And
yeah,
that's what kindergartners and schools and primary school students have. Like they have that fearlessness. They're not scared to make mistakes, because
yeah,
it's okay for them to make mistakes, right? And as you grow old, people expect you to like be perfect and not make mistakes, but then that's eventually killing like how he said, like as you grow like older, like in high school and like in middle school and stuff, like your the questions they ask you has just one answer. Like in
yeah,
school all your questions have a single answer, right?
yeah,
And that is making our think, like that's restricting our mind, that's making us so like it's just making us think in this one like narrow way, while we while what we need in today's world is diverse thinking. What we need is creativity. We need people to think and be able to think in like so many different ways, come up with different solutions. And exactly that, so like we need to like again like undo all this, like
Yeah.
to
Yeah, and I think also going off of what you said, like moving on top of like schools and the society and stuff that are also killing creativity. I think there are like
yeah,
other factors within society that also play a huge part in, I don't know, making it harder to be creative. So like in today's world,
yeah,
technology is like it's such a big thing, but it's also like one of the main factors is why kids have stopped being as creative as they can
yeah,
be. You know,
yeah,
so because I've seen so many instances when they're just kids are just given this screen, they're just given a screen in front of them, and they have to, that's supposed to keep them busy. They just stare at this iPad or something the whole day, and they play these games, and that's what just keeps them busy. But when we were younger, I remember we used to have actual toys and
hmm,
games and stuff that would keep us busy, and we used to, just engage with these toys and and those things actually really help you be creative, because you think of so many different things when you have all these toys around you,
hmm,
but I think a lot of, like, I've seen so many times a lot of today's kids just, they from such a young age they already know how to use an iPhone like perfectly. They know
hmm,
how to open an app and they know how to start playing a game,
yeah,
but when I asked a lot of kids, they didn't even know what Lego was.
yeah,
And I think that's like such a scary thing,
yeah,
because Lego was like our entire childhood.
yeah,
And Lego is like such an important, Lego and like so many other games, they're so important to build creativity among kids. But
yeah,
nowadays, it's just, I think the way we use technology is kind of hindering our
yeah,
creativity.
yeah. Like it just, so what like I've realized over time is that
Yeah,
that like you need to get bored, like you need to have, like it's not even like you need to like get bored for you to be
yeah,
creative. Like when I was
yeah,
young, when I didn't have like a phone or a laptop, and like when I
yeah,
was just like, and when I had like my summer break, I just used to
yeah,
like loiter around the house. I'd get bored, then from whatever little resources I'd have, I'd
yeah,
use them to entertain myself. So
yeah,
I would write poems, or I'd write stories, or I don't know, I'd just make up games using, my younger sister and I, we'd like make a paper ball, and we'd just like
yeah,
make some sort of like game using like
yeah,
a chair and that ball, and we'd just
yeah,
come up with so many different, like we had so much space like to be creative. But what
yeah,
happens today is we don't let ourselves become bored. So as soon
yeah,
as we feel bored, we just switch on our laptop, we start watching movies, we
yeah,
like play video games. And what happens is then that distracts you, and then you're not really actively using your brain, then you're just passively watching something. And because
yeah,
of that, you don't actively use your brain, because you have like an alternative to like not
yeah,
feel distracted. You you just you, you're not being creative anymore.
yeah,
And that's why I feel we should like limit like our use of technology. So
yeah.
yeah, because it is
Yeah,
hindering
definitely we're
creativity.
using it as like an easy escape, just so we don't have to
Yeah,
be alone with our thoughts. It's such a convenient thing. Oh,
yeah,
so you have free time, you're alone. I'm just gonna pick up my phone and go on Facebook or
hmm,
scroll through Instagram or go on Snapchat. They just like it's too easy, it's too convenient. It's just
yeah,
to use as an escape to just like get out of being alone in your thoughts and just being immersed with your thoughts.
yeah,
So, but I think, yeah, if you're just truly alone, that is like a big stimulator for creativity, because you're
right,
just with yourself and your thoughts, and that's just what lets your thoughts and your ideas flow. That makes
yeah,
it a lot easier than if you have all these like gadgets around you
hmm,
and just keep distracting yourself from what you want to do.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. So, and yeah,
Yeah, so I think basically what we take away from this is how we, schools and society and parents, they need to adopt like uh, two simultaneous models,
yeah,
just so both the linear and the agricultural model, have them run simultaneously. So while there's still some discipline, there's also that opportunity for children to have a variety of options to choose from. And also, as we talked about, instilling more than just the content and more than uh, just lecturing kids on what they need to learn, teaching them how to, solve problems, how to think critically, how to think differently, think for themselves, and use whatever little they have to solve any kind of problem.
Yeah, and we just need to also know, like, we need to see to it that we don't discourage kids, we don't discourage
Yeah,
people, and like by calling, like, because just because they don't do well academically, like, we
yeah,
shouldn't discourage them, because a lot of them are super smart, super skilled, and like they're very talented in, and we need to like we need to encourage them, because then that'll help them reach their potential in something
yeah,
that they like and in something that's their strength, and not force them to do something that they'll never like or that they'll never be good
yeah,
at, because
yeah,
that's just not what they may be meant to do. Like,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
So
yeah,
thank you all for watching today's video. If you liked it, please click like and subscribe to our channel. And feel free to comment below if you have any suggestions for future videos or if you have any suggestions for improvements. We'd love to hear from you.
yeah, and like we would also love to hear your thoughts on this entire
Yeah.
like this discussion we had, like what, like if you have like any solutions or any suggestions on how like the education system should be different from what it is right now, or if you have any personal anecdotes or stories to tell us, like please feel free to comment, we'd love to hear from you, and please share and please subscribe to our channel, and like, yeah, watch out for our next video.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.